Howdy everyone, this is Eugene from Kenya. So today I'm going to talk about Ethiopia. So this African American brother goes to Ethiopia and he shares 7 things that he have never thought that he will find in Ethiopia. In short, he's sharing 7 things that he didn't know about Ethiopia. So I want us to watch this video and then I'm going to address some important things that he says, and I'm going to provide a lot of insight about the same things that he addresses on the video. So let's watch the video and I'll be answering the questions that he's going to ask in the video. After watching it, we're going to talk about it in the end. Thank you for staying tuned and let's watch the video.
In this video, I'm going to share with you guys 7 things no one told me about Addis Ababa, Ethiopia before visiting. I'm sure the travelers listening have been in similar situations. No matter how much research you've done on a country, when you get there, there's always some things that kind of caught you off guard or you weren't expecting. And for me, I think it's always good to share those situations with other people so they're not caught off guard and they know what to expect. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video and start off with the first one, which is the weather. Now, before visiting, I thought this place was going to be a lot hotter. One of the reasons why is because on my news feed on my phone, many stories pop up about droughts and limited water. So I'm thinking, okay, it must be hot over there. Not only that, this country is said to have one of the hottest places on earth. I think it's called the Lal or Danakil Depression, basically an area with volcanoes, lava lakes, hot springs, and just a whole bunch of other hot stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is I had Ethiopia, and especially Addis Ababa, being this hot and humid place. But once I touched down, I realized, that is not the case. During the day, yes, the sun comes out and it warms up a bit, but boy, oh boy, it's very chilly here. From all the places I've been to so far in Africa, I think Addis Ababa was the coldest city I've been to. The only place that comes close would be Nairobi in Kenya. But as of right now, I would give the top spot to Addis Ababa for sure. And one of the main reasons is because Addis Ababa is said to be the 4th most elevated capital city in the world, the 4th highest capital city in the world. So that's the reason why it's a lot cooler here compared to other areas. The next thing no one told me is that drying off your hands in Ethiopia is illegal. At least I think it is. And the reason why is because many of the restaurants that I visited, they rarely have paper towels in the bathroom or an air blower or something to dry off the hands. And at first I thought maybe this is an Ethiopian thing, maybe for religious reasons. You wash your hands, but you don't dry them off. However, when I went to an international restaurant, it was an Asian place. It was very nice. It was the same outcome. I washed my hands, soap and water, but nothing to dry them off with. They also have many restaurants where right before you eat, they'll bring soap and water to your table. Very common. I'm guessing this is the traditional way of preparing for a meal. But even then, there were times where I'll get the soap, the water, and then they wouldn't have any towels, no napkins, nothing. So if you're from this country, let me know. Were they just on a budget and didn't want to buy any paper towels? Or is it one of those things where you don't wash off the water? It's supposed to be some holy, religious thing. I don't know. Just let me know. And since we're on the topic of food and restaurants, let me bring up the next point, which is a popular drink here called tej. This is said to be the national alcoholic drink of Ethiopia, and it's very delicious. It's very sweet. It's somewhat thick. I think it consists of honey, water, and like a plant called geisha or something like that, which is why it's nicknamed honey wine. I understand some of you guys watch maybe 6'4", 300 pounds. And I know when you're sipping on this, you're going to think it's an ocean spray cranberry cocktail. It may taste like the orange juice you drink every morning, making it easy to slam back 2 to 3 glasses of these. But don't get it twisted. This tej will creep up on you. In every tej house you go to, the places that specifically serve this drink, the alcohol content may vary. Okay, so just be warned. The next item on the list is something that may be a little different for some people, maybe a little uncomfortable depending on the situation. And let me explain it to you like this. One night I was in a restaurant, and as I was seated, I looked across the room and saw that there was a gentleman at a booth with 2 women. and he was hand feeding one of the ladies. And I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, maybe this is a situation where the lady that's being fed is not physically or mentally able to feed herself. But then later on, I realized that wasn't the case. In Ethiopia, there's a tradition, there's something part of the food culture here called, well, I think it's called gursha, where someone hand feeds another person. I learned that it's very common here, and as a foreigner, as a tourist, this can possibly happen to you. So if you befriend some Ethiopians, maybe they bring you to their home for a homemade traditional meal. Don't be surprised if someone's grandma rips off a piece of the local bread, scoops up some stew, and then tries to put it in your mouth. And from what I understand, it's rude to refuse. Another thing no one told me is that English, well, at least from my experience there, English was a lot more common than I expected. I understand that this language right now is the lingua franca of the world. Many people speak it as a second language. But when it comes to Ethiopia, there were two reasons why I didn't think it would be very common here. One, when it came to travel talks, travel blogs, etc., Ethiopia never really came up as a hotspot tourist destination. I'm sure even on this video, many people have heard of Ethiopia, but probably don't know too much about what goes on inside the country. Probably have never thought about visiting also. So that's one. And also due to historical reasons, I didn't think English would be very common. If anything, if there was like an outside language, I thought it could possibly be maybe Italian, but that didn't seem like that was the case either. From the places that I visited and even going to random shops on the side street, random restaurants, usually there was someone there who spoke English, and it wasn't the greatest, but it was really good. The next thing no one told me about Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and just Ethiopia in general, is how much of a peaceful country it is. Now, I know this isn't the most popular thing to say, especially right now, but I just know that my time walking around Addis Ababa, for the most part, people told me that all you really have to worry about is petty crimes. Situations where someone will talk to you and then another person will come behind you and try to steal your phone and take your money, pickpocketing type stuff. I've been to other countries, and I won't name them, where when walking around, everyone has their phone in their hand. And I'm guessing it's because, again, of the serious pickpocketing that goes on there. I've been to places where at night, no one's out. In Ethiopia, it's dark at night, but for the most part, there were people out, families, women, even walking around. I didn't get a sense that people feared for their lives when they're out and about. It just seemed like everyone is going about their daily activity. Even when I was in a ride-sharing car, one of the guys was telling me about how if you go to the historic center, there's like a long strip of jewelry shops. And he told me if you notice, you're not going to see any bars on the window or bars on the doors, because for the most part, it's safe. You're not going to have people trying to rob the bank and steal gold and all this other stuff. So yes, this place has its economic hardships, petty crime. I'm not saying it's the safest place in the world, but definitely the word peaceful, at least for me, in Addis Ababa comes to mind. And last but not least, we have the women. And I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to say they're some of the most beautiful creatures I've seen. I'm not even going to say humans because they too fine to be humans. All right, there's some type of creature from out. No, but seriously, I found the Ethiopian women to be some of the most beautiful I've seen, for sure. And I want to say, to me, it comes across as natural beauty. When walking around, there were many times where I've seen women along the street, along the dirt road, selling coffee or snacks. And even many of them were like, wow. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what tribes they had out here, the Kasametic, Temetic, Zulu, Galulu, Paputu tribes. Whatever they had out here, it worked out. But for the most part, these are the 7 things no one told me about Addis Ababa, Ethiopia before visiting. Hope you guys learned something new from this video, even if it was just one thing. My trip here was great. I actually plan to come back, not only to Ethiopia, but just the continent in general. That being said, let me go ahead and end it right here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found some value in it. And I'm going to catch you guys at the next one. Deuces.
So Ethiopia has diverse temperature, So in the lowlands, it's hot and arid in the lowlands, but in the highlands, from where the brother was, he experiences mild temperature, which sometimes it's cooler. So that answers why generally the place where he was is a little bit cooler, because he was in the highland areas of the Ethiopia. So this makes sense, because I also thought that Ethiopia is hotter and drier, but this was the contrary, because not most of the part is hot and dry. And as I've said, Ethiopia has diverse, temperature and climates, because you find that in the lowlands it is hot and arid, while in the highlands it is a little bit cooler. So I'm also going to talk about the issue of drying ants using towel. Culturally, Ethiopians eat food using their hands, and they use food using their hands because it is a communal way of taking meals. Now there's this plate called mesob. I don't know if I've spelled it right, but mesob, it's sourdough which is used. You pick it by your hands and you dip it in the soup depending on the food that you've cooked, and you use it to eat. Now the problem as to why is the sourdough or the bread which is used to eat the meal which is on the plate. Now this is important as to why they don't wash, they don't dry their hands using towel, because you see, when you dry your hands using towels, the fibers might remain in your hands and you pick it on the same plate that you're sharing with people, which is not good. And this is also hygienic to food consumption, bearing that they use their bare hands while eating. I think in Kenya or in most of the Nilotic groups and Bantu groups, we use our hands while eating, and I think that's where culturally we are different. Brother said that in Ethiopia, it is entirely English-speaking country, because that's the lingua franca in most of African countries, if not most, but a majority of African countries. So this is the thing. Ethiopia has a lot of stereotypes. People normally say that Ethiopia, it is politically insecure. That is why, in as much as it speaks English, there are no tourists who come to those places. But I want to tell you that Ethiopia is peaceful, because you could see actually that the brother was walking at night. He was walking at night and everyone was holding a phone in their hands, which shows that it is true that it is a peaceful place. And I also don't understand why we don't have a lot of visitors, or we don't have a lot of tourists who got there. But I believe it's because of the stereotypes which have been said about them, things to do with political instability and wars which happen in Ethiopia. But I do normally say one thing: go and visit somewhere by yourself. As I was saying, that's why I normally advise people to go and for a place and see for themselves, instead of being told something that happened in a given place and you just being given ideas, and you are a person who wants to go and see for yourself. I think it's important if you present yourself there and see it as a person. Now, I think I addressed a couple of things about the video, and I talked about Ethiopian culture, about eating, and involved sharing of meals. I think I addressed that. So I don't know if there's something I've left behind. Kindly remind me in the comment section if there's something I left behind about the video. Until then, see you in my next video. This is Eugene the African Kid. Peace, love, and harmony. Happy New Year. Salute.